say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets regular, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that Star-Spangled Banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Greetings and welcome to the December 2021 commencement at West Virginia University at Parkersburg. On behalf of the Board of Governors, the administration, students, faculty, staff, alumni, and friends of WVUP, I'm Chris Gilmer, President, and it's my great honor to welcome you. We were determined that COVID-19 was not going to take our traditions away from us, so we are doing a virtual commencement, but I invite all of you to come back and join me as my special guest in May 2022 for an outdoor face-to-face commencement ceremony. When I was a child, my mother used to say to me, if you think you can't, you're almost certainly right. If you think you can, you're almost certainly right. It would have been very easy for us to give up during this time of pandemic, but we didn't give up. And these students today, supported by their family and friends, are accomplishing a huge milestone in their lives because of tenacity, because you never gave up. And I've never been more proud of a graduating class than I am of yours. Enjoy the fruits of the hard work that you have accomplished by virtue of your education, and I wish you and yours a happy holiday season. Don't be strangers. You're always a Riverhawk. Once you're a Riverhawk, come back to see us at WVU Parkersburg soon.
My name is Steve Hardman. I'm the chair of the Board of Governors of WVUP. And on behalf of the Board of Governors, congratulations to all graduates. As students at WVUP, and now as graduates, you have become part of this university. Now you'll become part of the history of this university. And this university will always be part of you. Similarly, wherever you go, you'll take WVUP with you. The lessons that you've learned, both in the classroom and out of the classroom. We hope that you find that your experiences here at WVUP will enrich your lives and the lives of your families. And we hope that it helps you improve our community and the world in which we live. Congratulations, graduates. Now I'd like to introduce to you L.V. Hissam, the president of the WVUP Student Government Association.
You persevered through those challenges and came out the other side successfully. I say this as some of you may wish to immediately work in your chosen field after today. Some of you may even choose to continue your education. But no matter what you choose to do, know that as you continue forward, there may be challenges, but they will not be any challenge that you will not be able to find your way through, as you have proved to yourselves during your time here and even before your time here, that you have the ability to persevere through any challenge that life throws at you. And this, along with the education that you have obtained, will allow you to go out into the world and be the successful professionals and amazing people that I, along with your professors, mentors, friends, and family, know you to be. Congratulations, class of 2021. We all know that you are going to do spectacularly wonderful and great things. Thank you.
It's my great honor to introduce our commencement speaker today, Dr. Greg Bush, who is president of Mesa Lands Community College. He and his wife, Mary Beth, have been a part of the WVU at Parkersburg community for a very long time, and I assume he'll tell you about that in his remarks. We are deeply honored to have a fellow community college president who's doing great things to inspire you as your commencement speaker today, Dr. Greg Bush.
Mr. President, members of the Board of Governors, graduates, distinguished guests, faculty, staff, family, and friends. While it seems as though it's been nearly a lifetime ago, it feels as though it were just yesterday that I too was a student at West Virginia University, full of dreams and a life before me which was both exciting and scary. Today, I've been asked by President Gilmer to share my story, which is not too different from many of yours. And while this is a story that I hope you will gain from my address, is not so much about me, but rather how my experiences can be lessons for you as you are now ready to chase your dreams. The college and this extraordinary faculty have prepared you well. Your family and friends have supported you, and I know you have great gratitude for them in doing so. Congratulations. It is your time now. President Gilmer, thank you for inviting me to be with you today, if only virtually, and thank you for the excellent leadership you have provided to pave the road ahead for today's graduates. For some of you, you may have heard of me. I'm Dr. Greg Bush, and I proudly serve as president of Mesa Lands Community College in Tucumcari, New Mexico. But it's unlikely that my presidency or my college is where you may recall my name. After all, I'm not a native New Mexican. Rather, I grew up here in Mundy, in Worth County, just 30 minutes from the college. I, like most of you, am a proud Appalachian from the Mid-Ohio Valley. I never believed that one day I would be president of a top-ranked community college. I never believed that one day I would be speaking Spanish and Navajo to students and members of my community. After all, the only Spanish I knew is what I picked up at Don Emilio's and the other Mexican restaurants in Parkersburg. But what didn't come as a surprise to me was the students I'm working to serve, because I am like them. I am one of them. And like you, WVU Parkersburg changed my life forever. As a child, my parents divorced, and I was raised by my mother and grandmother. We lived off of the vegetables that we grew in our garden and the chickens we raised. Life was not easy, just as it wasn't easy for you. You have faced barriers and challenges. At times, you have doubted yourself and your abilities. You faced learning through COVID, icy roads, social distancing, spotty internet, sickness and death, and learning to navigate an educational system that, for many of you, no one in your family had ever gone and done before. But you're here today. This is because you're following the advice, unknowingly, that my grandmother gave me. Never give up. Barriers and potholes in the roads must not stop us. And we all know that the country roads of West Virginia have potholes. Rather, we must look always for ways to get around them. And always, always treat others the way you want to be treated. After all, that's how we lived for generations in Appalachia. My mother and grandmother stressed that my future success rested in a good education. I attended the same one-room school, although it did have a portable divider, that my grandmother and my mother attended in Worth County. Little changed at that little school over the decades. The restrooms were still outside. But I felt lucky. I had good teachers, custodians, and great food. Did the school have all of the amenities we take for granted today? No, but it provided a foundation for my education, just as your schools, whether in the city, small towns, or rural, did for you. Early on, my mother and grandmother stressed that I would go to college, though I would be the first in my immediate family to do so. I am like many of you, what we call a first-generation college student. But in the 1970s and early 1980s, I lived with a couple of damaging stigmas. First, I was a child of a broken home, and the adults around me who were supposed to know how to be successful in education told me that I was not college material, although my grades were good. I was told children of broken homes never amount to anything, and that I needed to understand my place, and that the best hope for me was to become an encyclopedia salesman. Well, I will admit that I'm glad I didn't follow that advice because Wikipedia killed the encyclopedia market. Secondly, I was a rural kid. I lived out in the country. The bulk of educational resources went to cities and small towns, so living in the country was a disadvantage when it came to my education. My mother took steps to correct that. We moved to the big city of Elizabeth. Mother worked very hard to give me a life that I never wanted for anything. But we were poor, yet I didn't know it. I lived in federally funded housing through HUD. I didn't know that was for low-income people. I just thought the government liked to pay part of our rent. I proudly went to Work County High School, but those stigmas followed me. When I was 14, I decided to get a job to help take some of the burden off of my mother. But when you're 14 and living in Elizabeth, there aren't too many jobs available. Further, I didn't set off to find a career. All I wanted was to make enough money to buy a school jacket and a class ring. I knew a career would be down the road after I went to college, despite the continued protestations that my social class and social status was not for college-going people. Mother was working as the clerk in the Work County Health Department for the public health nurse. I remember riding my bike to the health department to tell her I was going to get a job. She asked where. I said, well, there's a supermarket, but everybody goes there. There's a service station, but I don't even know how to change a tire. And there's a funeral home. I'll go to the funeral home, I thought. No one would ever think to go there. So I went home and I put on my only suit and I rode my bike to the funeral home. I remember hiding my bike so they wouldn't know how old I was. And I marched in and I stuck out my hand and I said, hello, I'm Greg Bush and I'm here for a job. The funeral director laughed, but was very delightful. And when we were done, she said, if I ever need you, maybe I'll give you a call. I was 14. I thought I had just got a job, but surprisingly, 2 weeks later, she called. I showed up at work in the same suit, and she instructed me to move and park cars. I froze. Like deer in the headlights, I uttered, technically, I don't drive. By this time, it was too late. She needed help, so she told me to stand in the street and just tell people where to park. I immediately fell in love with my job. After all, it fit perfectly into the ethos that my grandmother instilled. Always treat people as you would like to be treated. And at the worst time in people's lives, that was exactly what was needed. I went for a ring and a coat, and I came out with a career, a life goal, a dream, a vision for my future. I wanted to be a funeral director. I was going to be a funeral director. Yet, when asked by some of my high school educators about my choice, it was met with negativism and discouragement. The stigma followed me from the wrong side of the tracks. But I never forgot what my grandmother told me. Those potholes in the road should not stop us. We must find our way around them. Interestingly, the same summer in between funerals, I would visit my mother at the health department, and the public health nurse had a daughter who would also stop by and hang out at the health department too. As these stories go, before long, that girl and I began hanging out together. We would plan a date to see a movie, and at the last minute end up at the funeral home after a sudden death in our community. That girl who stuck by me in my erratic schedule, I'm proud to say, is still sticking by my side 42 years later. She and her family also embraced the same Appalachian values which had been instilled in me. She shared my dream that I would go to college, and one day we would own our own funeral home. It came a time when I was ready to go to college, but I doubted myself. I heard the voices of the people who were supposed to know how to tell me to go to college, but reflected and kept saying I wasn't college material. I had no one in my family to guide me. I had no money. The potholes in my road were many. And I questioned whether or not my dream was a fantasy. And just what if all those people were right and people like me couldn't go to college? So my grandma said, if we allowed every little barrier to stop us living in the country, we would have been killed a long time ago. She said, you must get through your potholes. She said, despite what I have been told, go down to Parkersburg Community College and ask them. So I went. I sat in my 1977 red and white Ford Pinto in the parking lot for a long time. I was scared to death. I didn't know what I was doing, and what if they told me the same story, that my dream was actually a fantasy. But after a few minutes, I walked in and I went up to the first desk that I found. There sat a young woman with her head down. She looked up and said, can I help you? I stuttered and I said, can I go to college? The young woman, later I knew to be Janet McHugh, smiled from ear to ear, and she said very deliberately, yes, you can go to college. That day, Janet at WVU Parkersburg changed my life. They proved that with resilience, hard work, determination, and maybe even against all odds, you can make dreams a reality. I attended WVU Parkersburg for several semesters and then transferred to the Cincinnati College of Mortuary Science at Xavier University, where the kid who was not college material graduated valedictorian, first in my class, and received a number of honors. That girl and I were married when we were 18, and she stayed behind and worked while I attended college in Cincinnati. And at the age of 21, she and I became the youngest owners of a funeral home in the nation when we opened the Bush Funeral Home in Elizabeth. Over the next 2 decades, we would also own the florist, the monument company, and the insurance agency. We would serve our community in a multitude of ways, and I would receive appointments from West Virginia Governor Gaston Caperton. I was appointed to serve as the Work County Medical Examiner, which I did for 22 years. Graduates, today is a new beginning for you. I encourage you to take my grandma's advice. Stick to your course, follow your dreams, don't allow barriers to stop you, and treat everyone with kindness. But graduates, though today you're receiving your degrees and certificates, today is not the end of your education. It is only the beginning. I encourage you to be deliberate and dedicated to lifelong learning, not only from ongoing formal education, but pay attention to your experiences. Embrace mentors, learn from others, their successes and their failures. Never stop dreaming, never stop growing, never stop reaching higher and higher. After nearly 20 years as a funeral director, my wife and I embraced the excitement and the enticement to reach even higher. After receiving my master's degree from West Virginia University School of Medicine, the late Ronnie Atkinson, chair of the Social Science Division here at WVU Parkersburg, brought my life full circle. Ronnie hired me to join the outstanding faculty, and my life was enriched to levels I cannot describe, teaching thousands of students over the next 10 years at WVU Parkersburg and having been elected to the first WVU Parkersburg Board of Governors. I earned a Doctor of Education from West Virginia University and other postgraduate work from Marshall University and the University of Louisville. Among other things, I became an Appalachian Scholar. The success that WVU Parkersburg brought me in my career, I was now in the position to pay forward to my students, first-generation students, low-income students, and a variety of students who have historically been underrepresented and marginalized from higher education. Students like many of you, students like me. Never lose sight of your dreams. Never let anyone tell you that it can't be done. In 2009, I began to work on the national stage for educational reform, and I worked to change educational systems at the state level across the country to reduce the time to complete a degree, to reduce student debt, and to dramatically increase student success and close that equity gap between those who can receive education easily and those who cannot. I have served as college deans, vice presidents, and an ardent advocate for community colleges. Graduates, go for the gusto. If you think you have the solutions to solve a problem, be the leader. This kid who played the crick and caught minis and crawdads in Work County could see that there was a better way to help students become successful. So I put on my suit. I have more than one now. And just like I did when I went for my first job, I put one foot in front of the other and I moved forward. I've spoken before Congress twice in state houses across the country, including Ohio, and as far away as Arizona and New Mexico. I'm an educational researcher and theorist, and my research has been cited more than 5,000 times worldwide. I challenge each of you graduates today to do the same. Take your skills, talents, education, and experience, and be the change you want to see in the world. My final point is that graduates, you must make a plan. But just as important, you must be prepared when your plans must change. You must be resilient, nimble, flexible, and responsive. You must be adaptive and ready at moment's notice to have a plan B to your success. Again, I speak from experience. In 2018, I was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, a common neurological disease that is progressive, degenerative, and incurable. I live with the complications of this disease daily, and it's not easy. But as Grandma said, my road has potholes. And as Michael J. Fox says, I may have Parkinson's disease, but Parkinson's doesn't have me. My plan for my future had to change, but my drive to improve student success did not. Today, I'm ranked in the top 4% of college presidents in the nation and proudly lead Mesa Lands College. I am committed to increasing educational attainment to the New Mexico Native Americans, in particular the Navajo and the Apache, and to support a predominantly Hispanic community in innovative ways to learn and help them make better lives for themselves. This is my dream for you, graduates, as you leave here today: a better life and a brighter future. In closing, this is a pinch me moment to be standing before this college where I started so many years ago, where I served later as a professor and a leader, and in the state and the region I proudly still call home, and among these beautiful West Virginia hills where my mother and my grandmother now rest. I am a proud Appalachian, born and raised in West Virginia. As you leave today, hold your heads high and be proud of who you are and what WVU Parkersburg has helped you become. Congratulations, thank you, and Montani Semper Liberi.
Associate of Arts, Associate of Science, Associate of Applied Science, Certificate of Applied Science. Samuel Edward Abels, Chloe Ruth Adkins, Carolyn Jo Affolter, Chad Cecil Albright, Sarah Christine Almashi, Associate of Applied Science, Business Administration, cum laude. Nayland Allen Arthur, James Sterling Baker, James Frank Barber IV, Megan Lee Barnett, Brett Joseph Barton, Sean Joseph Belcher, Betty Ann Bertume, Justin Tyler Blevins, Sydney A. Bone, Lindsay Marie Brewer, Lee Ann Brocky, Taylor Elizabeth Brown, Madison Page Burdett, Nicholas D. Bush, Mark Richard Clay Caldwell, Aaron James Kale, Brianne Nicole Carr, Nicole R. Karsner, Amanda Dawn Casto, Associate of Applied Science Business Technology, Certificate of Applied Science Business Technology. Jessica Maria Catter Gomez, Carl Lauren Church III, Johnny Allen Collins, Heather D. Cronin, Paul Michael Day, Mark William DeQuazy, Kathy Marie Dober, Certificate of Applied Science Child Development, magna cum laude. Walter Harris Doyle, Loki Scott Drummond, Rebecca K. Eicher, Almazi F. Ide, David Lloyd Evans, Alexis Ann Fike, Rodney B. Farrell, Associate of Applied Science and Advanced Manufacturing Technology, Associate of Applied Science Multi-Craft Technology, Certificate of Applied Science Industrial Maintenance, Certificate of Applied Science Electricity and Instrumentation. Justin Allen Fields, Associate of Applied Science Nursing.
Congratulations.
Stephen Jeffrey Fisher, Danielle Madison Falwell, Caden Patrick Fryman, Autumn Nicole Freimeyer, Seth W. Gainey, Rebecca Ann Garrett, Associate of Applied Science Surgical Technology, magna cum laude. Ashton Elizabeth Galt, Cody Ann Goots, Evan Michael Gowdy, Rachel Rose Green, Courtney A. Griffiths, Joshua Bradley Hammer, Associate of Applied Science, Business Administration. You're welcome. Caitlin Nicole Harper, Marley Brooke Harper, Edith Maxine Hart, Associate of Applied Science, Surgical Technology. Madison Grace Hatfield, Amy Sue Hayes, Trenton Michael Hilbert, Lindsay Nicole Hinkle, Associate of Applied Science, Business Administration, magna cum laude. Jonathan Isaiah Hitt, Associate of Applied Science, Advanced Manufacturing Technology, summa cum laude. Leah Joe Hitt, Michael Scott Holmes, Olivia Ann Hornbeck, Kinley Reagan Hosey, Caitlin Marie Huck, Victoria Page Hudson, Natalie Nicole James, Associate of Applied Science, Surgical Technology. Robert Andrew Jarvis, Catherine Francis Jeffrey, Darian Isaac Jones, Daniel Sean Kelly, Cassidy D. Kearns, Bachelor of Applied Science, Business Administration. Caden Michael King, Associate of Applied Science, Multi-Craft Technology, Associate of Applied Science, Advanced Manufacturing Technology, Certificate of Applied Science, Electricity and Instrumentation, Certificate of Applied Science, Industrial Maintenance. Zachary Ryan Knight, Nina J. Kwok, Reagan Michelle Layfield, Natasha Joy Lemley, Daniel Brian Lester, Felicia Elaine Latart, Chanda Rashay Lewis, Sean A. Lilly, Neely Lorenza Locke, Robert John Lopez Jr., James Michael Lutz, James R. Malson, Tiffany Lynn Markham, Melissa Dawn Martin, Kimberly K. Matheny, Megan Rose McCoy, McKenna Shea Meadows, Alwira Kanwal Maimon, Randy Matthew Merced, Justin Nicholas Miller, Chris Andrew Miller, Associate of Applied Science, Advanced Manufacturing Technology. Robert Paul Miller II, Joshua T. Mitchell, Alexis Page Moore, Jessica Dawn Morales, Clay Matthew Morgan, Kristen Nicole Morgan, Megan Ashley Morgan, Tammy K. Naylor, Eric John Nitro, Colleen Lynn Nichols, Sierra Brooke No, Brooke Shockey Overton, Amanda Dawn Page, Kaylin Faith Parsons, Lacey Sky Parsons, James Lee Perkins Jr., Associate of Applied Science, Advanced Manufacturing Technology, magna cum laude. Jacob Ryan Pickens, Associate of Applied Science, Nursing. Rachel L. Pierce, Associate of Applied Science, Criminal Justice, Certificate of Applied Science, Criminal Justice. Cody Joseph Pittman, Abram John Poling, Ashley Leanne Potter, Associate of Applied Science, Board of Governors. Jeremy Arnett Rake, Associate of Applied Science, Nursing. Jeffrey James Rawson, Jessica Ann Rawson, Melissa D. Richards, Isaiah James Rife,
Emily Nicole Riggs, Associate of Applied Science, Surgical Technology.
Christopher Edward Robertson, Kayla Marie Ross, Savannah Inez Rubel, Associate of Applied Science, Welding Technology. Matthew Lee Rush, Associate of Applied Science, Business Administration, Certificate of Applied Science, Business Administration. Gregory Allen Sams, Jr., Mariah Renee Sands, Joshua David Schwendeman, Christopher Allen Seabaugh, Associate of Applied Science, Computer and Information Technology. Aya Danielle Shanholzer, Christina Lace Shaw, Melody Louise Shearlock, Houston Wayne Shepard, Penny L. Schrader, Turner Schumann, Associate of Applied Science, Criminal Justice, Certificate of Applied Science, Criminal Justice. Bentley Ann Singleton, Sydney Brooke Skidmore, Aaron Patrick Slater, Ashley Nicole Smith, Jillian Spring Smith, Lucas Allen Smith, Associate of Applied Science, Nursing, magna cum laude. Amanda Catherine Snyder, Cleo Alana Mia Spader, Bethany Michelle Steele, Thomas Riley Stewart, Charles William Stewart III, Carla Jean Stover, Anna Grace Sturm, Certificate of Applied Science, Business Administration, cum laude. Brooke Nicole Stutler, Megan Lee Swearingen, Madison Holly Tanner, Joseph Michael Toronto, Ethan Ray Tawney, James Freddie Taylor, Douglas Wayne Tingler, Ian Michael Tustin, Hunter Cole Van Kirk, Brooke Nicole Van Meter, Heather Dawn Van Way, Dalton Alexander Waits, Nathaniel Elias Weekly, Erica Dawn Westbrook, Heather Whaley, Associate of Applied Science, Nursing. Robert Brian Wilson, Emerald Alicia Workman, Hannah Renee Nicole Workman, Karen J. Workman. Stephen S. Warledge, Associate of Applied Science, Drafting. Bachelor of Applied Science, Bachelor of Applied Technology, Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Science. Kendra Marie Allen, Lori Eve Allman, Regents Bachelor of Arts, cum laude. Leanna Marie Amos, Michelle Lynn Anderson Sawyer, Leah Marie Jewel Ann Armstrong, Maggie Danielle Bailey, Allie Madison Barton, Sierra Raina Bennett, Bachelor of Applied Science, Legal Studies. Jeffrey Howard Bennett, Regents Bachelor of Arts, cum laude. Jacob Thomas Bennett, Leanne Elise Brown, Tressa Danielle Burton, Christy Gail Campbell, Bachelor of Applied Science, Criminal Justice, Associate of Applied Science, Criminal Justice, Certificate of Applied Science, Criminal Justice, cum laude. Caitlin Elizabeth Carroll, Kinley Shea Cottle, Brad Allen Chatton, Deborah Ann Darling, Bachelor of Applied Science, Legal Studies, magna cum laude. Jamaica Sean Davis, Bachelor of Science, Business Administration. Michael Anthony Easton, Brandon Michael Eckerd, Anna Morgan Erickson, James Edward Evans, Bachelor of Applied Science, Supervisory Management. Elizabeth Eileen Gonzalez, Shayla Deanne Griffey, Bachelor of Arts, Elementary Education, cum laude. Brittany Ann Hersman, Bachelor of Arts, Elementary Education, magna cum laude. John Lohman Hickman, Christopher Allen Heilman, Rebecca Lynn Hogsett, Nisha Lynn Hawley, Caitlin Marie Holsinger, Bachelor of Applied Science, Business Administration, cum laude. Jensen Diana Elizabeth Hoover, Shauna Renee Hopkins, Bachelor of Applied Science, Child Development, magna cum laude. Allison M. Hurst, Kelly Camille Jones, Bachelor of Arts, Elementary Education, cum laude. Glenna Lee Kaltnecker, Jeremy Scott Kirby, Tina L. Knopp, Kara Lynn Leisure, Ashley Nicole Lewis, Megan Elizabeth Ludwig, Chelsea Renee Martin, Savannah Elizabeth Miller, Allison Nicole Monroe, Candace A. Morgan, Serena Megan Mullen, Luke Allen Myers, Bachelor of Applied Science, Criminal Justice, Certificate of Applied Science, Criminal Justice. Jonathan Zachariah Newell, Aubrey Marie Nichols, Shannon Lee Odell, Melissa Gail Parsons, Victoria Nicole Pollitt-Tauber, Jacqueline DeWeese Pring, Kara Sue Raisbag, Anna Elizabeth Russer, Hannah Lee Richards, Linda Darlene Sartor, Cassie Shea Scruggs, Olivia Ray Sharp, Emily Ka Shearlock, Wamba Shateta Shepherd, Diana K. Slusher, Josiah Daniel Smith, Kevin Nelson Smith, Cameron Denise Snyder, Ashley Dawn Spence, Braden J. Starcher, Christina Ann Swiger, Brian M. Van Norman, Bachelor of Science, Business Administration. Cindy Leanne Wade, Jennifer Lynn Ward, Stacy Ann Whitlatch, Allie Jo Weikerman, Heather L. Williamson, Kathleen Elizabeth Wright. President Gilmer, on behalf of the faculty and the authority vested in me, I certify that all these candidates have met all requirements for all degrees. It is my pleasure to present them to you for confirmation.
Once again, I wish all of you and everyone who you love a blessed, safe, and joyful holiday season, and I look forward to seeing you for our face-to-face outdoor commencement in May 2022.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain,
for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plains.
America, America, God shed his grace on thee and crown thy good with the brotherhood from sea